Okay, my friends, this is the first journal in which there will be an edit once I figure out how to do it. My energy has started to interfere with electronics and cause them to goof up. And my new equipment isn't here yet. I don't know that it will do any better. I hope so. But even though I do a sound test before I start, and it sounds fine, about midway through it starts to get garbled. And a lot of times by the end, you can't even hear it. So with these settings, there's more hiss to it. But I think at least it's clear, so I'll pick up where I left off. I said, real freedom is not chained to work for a living, but rather to be free, to do what we find joy in, that which makes us happy. So no, we are not free. We are wrong, too, if we think that even those we elect run the show, those who rule over us. No. We are wrong, too, if we think we even elect those who run the show, who rule over us, for we don't. That's all an illusion. That was made clear once voting went electronic. Lose the paper trail, lose the evidence chain. Any decent hacker knows this, as does any computer specialist. It's just a way to cover their tracks. But anyway, getting upset over that, or indeed over anything at all, is not the way to higher consciousness. Oh yes, we do get upset, and maybe even on a regular basis, as we begin to awaken from our sleepwalking and look around and realize that things are not at all what they pretend to be, what we have been told and sold that they are. The surprises seem unending once we start to awaken. Why is that? Well, because until we were willing to begin to open our eyes and see, we hid all of this from ourselves. That's right, no one did this to us. We chose, rather, not to look, or to look the other way. It was too distressing, and so we chose not to see. It is important to keep this sense of responsibility for everything we uncover, and to remember that we are sovereign beings. We are not slaves unless we make ourselves slaves. So, something else that begins to happen as we awaken and allow ourselves to see the previously present but unseen territory we inhabit is that we quite naturally begin to let things go. We see how little worth they have and just naturally let them go. We begin to disidentify, in other words, what we had previously identified with and claimed as part of self. We now can see the emptiness of. So it is let go, almost without thinking. It just drops away. And now, only now, do we begin to be free. Now, as we let this and that slip away, do we begin to lighten up and taste the first real bits of freedom for ourselves. This is really what it means to be free, to be unencumbered, not held down, unafraid to look and see whatever is there, be it good, bad, or mostly indifferent. It begins not to matter so much. We begin to let our conditions go. To place conditions on reality is to seek to control it. This is really a laugh and a farce, but as long as we are in that mode, placing conditions on things, we don't see this. Don't realize just how very silly it is. Oh no, we take things so very seriously, as long as we are identified with them. I know I did. We get this illusion that we can control what happens, and we take it very seriously indeed. We quite convince ourselves that it is so, and we live our lives this way, never quite getting what we want, where we want, how we want, but we retain the illusion that it is possible, that it is just around the next corner somewhere, and maybe, just maybe, we will succeed. Well, that is a valid path as long as you are on it. But nothing holds you there. The option is always available to have another look at it, to try something different. That path still awaits if you want to return to it, but you might like to come walk with me for just a little while and see if you don't like the view a bit better. So, where are we headed? Into nowhere land, into emptiness ultimately, but this won't make sense for a bit. It is a letting go-ness that must take place for a while. It is rather funny, but we must first blindfold ourselves to what was, to what we think reality is, in order to set off on this journey. As someone has said, just how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? If you are like me, the only answer is all the way. Why do things by halves anyway? That is the mind's way of doing them, to hedge the bets. Yes, it is natural to initially begin that way. We let the path prove itself to us before we can enter into that deeper level of trust. I had forgotten that there for a moment, but I do recall how hesitant I was at first. So then, let's start out hesitantly, if you will. That works too. We are still involved with time this way, but that's okay. It is the surer way to begin. Left foot, right foot, left foot. One walks before one runs. It is just so strange for me anymore to place myself back in a time mode. I am so used to being free of such considerations and just being instantly where I want to be in awareness without the need of time, of taking time to get there, a la quantum physics, I guess. But I had forgotten what it was like to start, and now I recall one does not generally dispense with time just like that. It takes a bit. That's kind of funny. It takes time to let go of time. God really does have a sense of humor. So, let's let this be part one, perhaps, of a series on letting go, on becoming totally free. And yes, we can call this unconditionality. We stop putting conditions on life, as if we could control it, or people anyway. Part of this is to begin to open the eyes that were so tightly shut. We were not seeing reality, you see, through those shut eyes. No, we were seeing nothing but mind stuff, mind creation. And though that may sound strange now, just keep walking with me, and you will see and begin to clearly see just how very blind you and I, one and all, have been. Does that make you angry? Good. Then stay tuned for part two.